Well, hi there, guys. I got the engine cover, or the valve cover off the engine, and I can't really explain how to do that on a block that's sitting out of the car. It was already loose. It's a whole different process to remove the actual valve cover when it's still on the car because you got to deal with the high pressure fuel rail, engine covers, wiring harnesses. All this stuff has to be taken off first, so that's not really important. What we are here to do though is tear apart this engine. I tilted the stand towards you. The camera's mounted on a wall right now, so it would move. I'm using my good camera too, so that way you guys can get a better view. We're going to start first by removing all the injectors because they have to come out. Then we're going to remove all these bolts that hold the cam caps down and remove the camshafts as a whole, because I don't have the special tool to hold the camshafts in place to remove the Vanos units. So we're just going to leave those attached to the cams, but I just want to give you a general idea how to get these off, and we'll go from there. Hopefully get the cams off, and then we can see how. I think you can actually get to the cylinder head bolts through these holes, but I want to take the whole thing off anyway just to take it apart. So this is going to be a live recording of me doing it. It's not going to be a short video. It's going to be pretty long, so if you want to fast forward through spots to see as I do it, you can. Otherwise, just sit back and enjoy. So first thing I gotta do is I gotta find a e-torque socket to get the injector plates off. So I'm gonna go to my toolbox. I'll do that. I'll be right back. All right, I got my one of my e-torques sets here. I believe it's in E12 to get those off. Nope, it's smaller than that. It's an E. What E size is that? It is an E11 to get that off. So take your torque socket here. I'll start back with the number 5 and 6. This is 5 and 6. You're at 6-cylinder 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So these injectors are held on banks of 2. And as you can see, the little mounting clip that's actually got a bow in it. So when you tighten this bolt down, it compresses them down. And then the little shoulder bolt type deal that holds that on there. Is it going to focus? No, I guess not. Either way, it's a bolt and a plate, not much to see. So I'm going to go ahead and set this in my pile of parts that I got sitting right here. Because the injectors are no good. They're index 1s and 7s. They are worth absolutely nothing. So I don't really care. So I'll take off number 4 and 3. Again, shoulder plate and the shoulder bolt. By the way, if anybody wants any miscellaneous parts off this block, please PM me and we can work something out. Selling all this shit for cheap. If it's some weird part that's expensive or hard to get, just let me know. Because I don't plan on keeping any of the parts for this block. So that's all their hold-on plates. So now the injectors, they pop right out. No, normally the injectors are stuck in there pretty good. You usually have to use some force to get them out. There's the injector, and as you can see, they're going to focus. It is not going to focus. You know what? Hang on a second. Let me try. I'm just playing around with the settings of my camera. Just hang on. Let's try this. Auto. Is it going to be on? Nope. I'm trying to set the focus, and I don't want to edit any of the videos, so you're gonna have to deal with me talking and being a dork. Let's try that. Exposure. This camera's got like a touch screen on it, so it's very difficult to use. There we go, automatic focus. There we go. Oops, I moved the camera, man. Alright, so now that I got that all fixed out, it should focus now. Okay, there you go. So as you can see by the number on the end here, that's an Index 1 injector. So it's like the first revision they ever came up with. It's very old. Well, old by injector standards. I think there's like 13 different injectors now. So this injector is not really worth anything. You can go in the pile of parts. You can see the tip looks pretty bad. Didn't even focus on that. You can see the tip looks pretty bad too. So, pile of parts for this thing. Index 1 again. Index 1. I believe all the rear ones are Index 1s, and all these ones are Index 7. Index 7. Index 7. And Index 7. And this is the one that came out of the trouble cylinder. Come on. You can see it's pretty oily, so that's not a good sign. Very hot in here today. It's like 92 degrees in the garage today, and normally I'd have the fan going, but you guys won't be able to hear me talk, so no fan for me. Alright, now next thing we're going to do is, I don't know if this is the right way of doing anything, but it's just the way we're going to tear it down. There's a tensioner on the chains here. I bet you we should probably pull that off first, otherwise it's going to have tension on the chains. So I'm going to rotate the block so you can see it. Just one moment. Alright, is it in view? Alright, there, right there, this bolt is the timing chain tensioner, so we'll pull that out. It's an ungodly big socket. I think it's 24. Let's see what size. This thing has a little scale on it. Take that back at the 26. So not in there very tight. Oh, and I already set the engine to top dead center. It's leaking. So we'll pull a tensioner out for the timing chains. And this is the exhaust side of the engine, for those who need to know that. Alright, well, here's a timing chain tensioner. I don't want to squeeze it, but this part right here it moves, and the oil pressure goes in through a little hole, and it pushes up against the timing chain rails to keep tension. And there's a little ring on here that's a little washer. So go in the pile of parts for me to clean and inspect later. So, and because that thing was leaking some oil, we're going to stick a paper towel in there just to kind of keep it from leaking. Alright, so now there's no tension on the chain, which is good because I don't want to take the cams off and have them tilt up or something. I'm going to rotate the engine again, just bear with me. Even when on the stand, this thing is incredibly heavy and awkward, so you just got to be kind of careful. So, alright. Engine's back on its side so you guys can see. Hopefully I didn't move it too much. Make sure I got you in view still. Alright, we're good. So now I got those off. Now mind you, this is not the way you would normally do it if you're actually servicing this engine. It's just to get it apart. So now we're going to pull these off. Cover cap bolts for the cam bearing ledges. Wow, they're on there tight. I'm actually going to get my bigger socket wrench. I'll be right back. We ain't fooling around no more. So there are quite a few of these bolts on here, so we're just going to pull them off in the order in which they come back, just because we don't forget. I'm just cracking them all loose right now. You know, this is one of those cheap Harbor Freight engine stands. I certainly hope it don't break, because that would be very unfortunate. A lot of bolts, which ain't necessarily a bad thing if it's supported good. Oh, and these are E11 bolts, the E-torque socket. Could use a 12 point in a pinch or a 6 point, I'm not sure what size, but I recommend you don't because you could round them off. Alright. So now they're all loose. I'm going to go around to the front of the engine. There is some bolts on this plastic timing chain guide that I got to remove. You won't be able to see me do it, but I believe there are two of them, and they are smaller than E11. They are like E10 or something. So let's go ahead and well, they're smaller than E10s even, but E10 was able to grab it. I'm pretty sure E9, E8, they're small. But they're right up in front here that hold, there are two bolts that hold the plastic cover on. I just loosened them for now, in case that gets in the way. You know, we should probably just take it off. Chair that's out of here, you can't see it, but it's there. Alright, that ain't gonna come out. So, yeah. So we already have a little issue. Like I said, this isn't the right way of doing anything. It's just Yeah, that's loose, but it won't come out because it's underneath the chains. I might have to pull these Vanos units off to get the cams off. If that's the case, then I have to bust out my impact because I don't have the tool to hold the cams down. So why don't we do that now while it's still tightened up for the most part. Put these back on just for now so they don't get lost. So what size is that? About 14. That's 16. I'm the first to admit that I'm not good at guessing socket sizes, but it's a 16. We'll try the electric gun and see if it's got enough torque to get it off. If not, then we'll have to swap over to the air gun. Okay, definitely not enough power. We're gonna have to get the bigger gun out. And I'm gonna have to get my impact grade socket. So, one moment. Just get my air hose out and all that good stuff, which leaks profusely, I might add. Alright, now I got the air gun. Let's see if that'll get it off. That worked out. Alright, those are loose. Now bear in mind, never ever take off your Vanos units like that. Because it could cause damage to your chain with all the shock. That was just a way to get them off for the disassembly purposes. You can see that bolt's actually pretty long. And here's your... come off. Oh, the whole thing wants to come off. Well, they're loose. Just take my word for it. That one came out without much of an issue. Exhaust, Vanos plate. This one, there we go. Intake Vanos plate, which they have the same part number on them, so pretty sure they're interchangeable. Oh, here's a cool bit. Intake Vanos unit. You can see the back. There's no slot to line the Vanos unit up with the cam. That's why you need that special tool to set the timing on this engine. Otherwise, you could just put this on any which way and it wouldn't know any better. So it's kind of cool. Very heavy. Weighs about 2 pounds, maybe 1.5 pounds. Maybe over exaggerating. But yeah, that came off. No damage. Looks good. Very intricate. Cool. Alright, so we'll put that in the bottom pile of parts. Get the exhaust one off. Alright, there's the exhaust. They actually say EX. Come on, focus. They actually say EX and IN on them for exhaust and intake, so they're two different units. Alright guys, I do apologize. It turns out my video cut off right after I had that exhaust manifold or exhaust Vanos solenoid in there. Ran out of space in the memory card. When you're recording 60 frames per second, 1080p video uses a lot of space. So, put the spare memory card in. We should be good to go for a little bit. Pretty nasty storm coming, so I'm just trying to get this done so you guys can see it. So, we left off. I got the Vanos plate off. Or the Vanos solenoids off. Not Vanos solenoids. Vanos actuators off. And we got the chain just kind of laying in here. I don't know if you guys can really see it or not, but it's just laying in here now. This would definitely not be good if you were trying to retime an engine. You could skip the teeth on the bottom of the drive or whatever, but for now it's just going to lay there until we get to the point where we're going to get the cylinder head off. But so now we got to take these things off. So I got to find my adapter and kind of continue where we left off. You guys ever have that feeling you had a tool and it's gone like 10 seconds? Because you had it like 10 seconds ago? Alright, I'm going to use my electric gun on here just to kind of speed it up a little bit. I'm just pulling them all off evenly to prevent warping of the part. Oh, there's a tight one, see it? So we'll go ahead and loosen that one. Maybe I missed it when I was loosening them. Yeah, I missed that one. So all in all, it's a good possibility because there's so many of these freaking bolts on here. Ooh, see how hard that snapped up? So when if you were doing this on your own vehicle, you would want to make sure you do it a little slower, less rotations, spread it out more to slowly ease the cover off. I don't think anything bad happened. It's probably not going to hurt anything, but especially don't do this if you were tightening it down. That would be a no-no. You go by hand, do a half rotation each bolt, and bring it down slowly. There is a tool to push these down while you tighten it. You don't need it. Just go and tighten all the bolts, half rotation, spread them out. Usually you want to go from the center out, but honestly I just go all over and tighten them all down half rotation to make sure you get it down evenly without, you know, bending it or binding it or anything. Yeah, but there's no way I'm doing all these by hand to take them out. Very fine thread bolts, and there are a lot of them. Ouch. Bit me. Alright, so that's loose. Alright, well there's the intake cam and its ledge. I'm going to do the classic turn part over and bolts fall out. Okay. So here's the intake cam and its ledge, and it's a two-piece design. It comes apart. So there are all the wear points. It's leaking oil. We're going to go ahead and just put this, we're going to put this half down. Alright, just because I want to show you guys this. Here's the intake cam. You can see it actually spins in there very nice. They flick it. In case you guys are wondering too, if you ever open up your oil cap when the engine's running and you hear like a bongo sound, that's the sound the cams make as it's rotating in these little chambers in the cam ledge. It makes like a bongo noise. So when you open your oil cap, you hear that sound. You're actually hearing the noises that this is making when it's moving air around in there. For those who are wondering. Alright, this has got the old style old style hook ring seals on it. They're metal. I'll pull it apart so you can see it. Very tight fit. Very precision. Alright. Alright, now this thing's leaking oil like crazy, but I'll kind of show you. I don't want to give them my bike, but... focus, darn you. Is it gonna focus? There you go. You see the little metal hook ring seal on here? You see me rotating a little bit? Newer design has those made of a like a Teflon type thing, so they don't eat into the cam ledge. So that's the old style. Typical 07s and 08s. And here's the actual cam bearing ledge. This is the bottom of it. And this one does not have any abnormal wear in it. There is some wear. It's kind of hard to see. But it's not crazy or anything. I mean, these are alright. So, all the journals look really good. There's no scoring or anything. So we'll just leave that as a completed unit to keep the cam from getting dirty. And we'll put that in the pile of parts. After I move some of the stuff over. Alright, now for the exhaust. I gotta get some rags and wipe my hands off so I don't get my gun all oily. So we'll go back on here. I'll try to do this the right way so you guys can see how to actually loosen it up without having it snap. Just going like a half rotation each one. Very slowly working it up. And then to figure out which bolt's causing tension, you would take them and wiggle them. Like this one's not moving and it was loose, so we'll loosen this one up a little bit. These two back ones here are tight, so we'll loosen them up a little bit. I'm just kind of loosen up by hand. This one's really tight. This one's tight. See, it's kind of working its way up. You can actually see as I'm pulling this off that it's starting to separate towards the back more than the front, so we'll concentrate on the front a little bit. Honestly, for the price, if anybody were in here changing these out or doing something with the cams that would be removed, I just replace these things. They're like 50 bucks each. Alright, it's still under quite a bit of tension yet, so I'm just slowly working it off. Trying to find the ones that are stuck. Again, it's very hot out here. I'm sweating pretty bad. But I'm a welder by trade, so the heat don't really bother me too much. I mean, it sucks for sure, but it's not a deal breaker for working outside. Alright. So now that thing's mostly loose, there's no more tension on it, so I'm just going to go hyper and pull all the bolts out now. And it recommends, too, that when you do this job to replace all these bolts, and honestly, if you're valve trained, you really should. I really hate to spend a valve or lose a cam because he didn't want to spend 30 bucks in bolts. There's steel bolts though, so I mean, take that into consideration, and not aluminum or anything. So now this should just come out. Take it out as a whole, hold the bottom so you don't drop the bottom out. Oh, this plastic tensioner is actually attached to this. So, I gotta remove that. Alright, there's your exhaust one. Put those 2 bolts back in here so they don't get lost, because they're unique to this particular part. But it's part of the duty. Thanks for watching. Alright, I'm going to do the classic, turn it over and dump all the bolts out. Alright, now mind you, these parts are leaking oil pretty bad, so I'm not going to hold on to them too long. But same thing, it's a 2-piece design. No scoring in the cams. The cams look really, really good actually. I know you guys can't see it. This one has a little bit more wear than the other one, but it's nothing severe. And that's how the oil pressure, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see that. Hang on, I want to show you that too. I'm kind of holding this cam so it don't drip oil everywhere. You see these passages right here? That's how the Vanos unit, the Vanos actuator in the front here, that's how it gets its oil pressure. Oil goes in through here, goes through, you know, it stays in, that's what these seals are for, to seal the pressure inside here. Goes in through the little hole, I don't know if you can see it, right there, comes out through here, into the Vanos unit. So that's how that works. That's why these seals, when they go bad, they cause Vanos issues, because then the Vanos unit can't get adequate pressure. So, in case you guys didn't know how that worked. Put that back together, and we'll put that in a pile of parts. Alright, so now we got the valves, or the camshafts off. And we got all the rockers and lifters exposed. Now I'm not going to take every one of these lifters out because I'm going to try to keep this thing as a complete unit. But I'll pull one of them out. Alright. Here's a rocker and a lifter. The lifter part's actually right here. I can't compress it, so that means that this one is a good one. And there's a little clip that holds the lifter onto this rocker. I'm not going to undo it, but it's there. Here's a roller ball, or not roller ball, a roller. So that's what the cam lobe actually hits as it comes down. You know, lifter pushes up right here. Cam lobe comes down, and it pushes down on the valves like so. Like the valve would actually sit up inside here. So, pretty neat. So if you got lifter tick on one of these motors, the unfortunate event that you do, it's one of 24 of these. So pick which one you want to start with first, because it could really be any of these. These all look pretty good. You don't have no wear or anything. All the check valves are working. If you pull one out and it just goes flat, then that's how you know you have a problem one. Just bear with me here. I'm trying to see if I can find one that's not doing so good, but as far as I know, this engine didn't have any lifter noise or anything. This thing is just dripping oil everywhere now that it's on its side. You know what? Let's stay away from the intake ones. The exhaust ones are exposed to more heat. Let's see if... Well, look at that. So I guess you don't have to really pull the clip out to get these out. They just kind of pop in and out. They're like a little... Stupid camera needs to focus. Little like wire retaining clip, and it holds onto that little nub right there. Okay, I kinda, no, that one's all right. It's a little slow to act, but it caught. Yeah, I mean, all these lifters seem like they're all right. But I mean, you get the gist of it. There's 24 of them in here. I don't want to pull them all out. This one actually kind of fell down. Is that one all right? Yep. But yeah, basically I'm squeezing them, and there's a little hole, and if you squeeze them, some oil will come out, but it shouldn't be a lot. And if it goes flat and it just turns squishy, then it's a bad one. But if it's really hard to push and it feels like almost solid, it should feel solid. But if it's, you know, has a little give, that's not a problem. But if it's really squishy and you can push it down and it's not holding any oil in there, it's just spitting oil out, then yeah, then that's a bad one. Let's try cylinder 1. No, these ones are all, like I said, they're all fine. So if you develop the dreaded lifter tick, make sure it's not your injector. But yeah, that's what you got to fix. That's what you got to replace, is one of those lifters. And they're not cheap. I think they're 11 bucks. I think they're 11 bucks each or 20 bucks each. And you know, you got 24 of them. So it's definitely not a cheap repair if you decide to replace all of them. So I'll zoom in a little bit so you can kind of get a decent look at the valve train a little bit. Bear in mind my camera's on a window, so... So there's the exhaust. And here's the exhaust. Here's the actual valve. And the lifters just kind of sit on top there like that. So that's where we are right now. It's just the bare head. Well, the lifters in it. Next thing, when I get down to here working on it again, I'm going to work on pulling the cylinder head off, hopefully. But you know what I'll do actually for you guys is I will go turn on my garage light so you guys can see a little better. And I will rotate the engine back up, and I'll take the camera and give you some good views of what's going on in here. So just rotate the engine block. It's heavy, so you gotta kind of bear with me. And so stop leaking oil over the goddamn ground. Alrighty, I'm gonna grab the camera and give you guys a good look at all the stuff going on here. Okay. Hopefully the battery's alright. Let's unplug it. Alright. Here's where we are with the engine right now. Just gonna kind of give you guys a good look at all the valve train components. And it might be easier if I get a light so you guys can see a little better. That ain't gonna work, huh? There we go. It's kind of cool to see. And I'll pull one of those out so you guys can see what you do to get them out. You just simply grab it, you just pull straight up. There's nothing really holding it in there, it's just all good machining and tension. And it just sits right on top of that valve. Make sure you got it on there center, not sitting there like that. I mean, that would not be good. Alright, well here's the timing chain system. That's, well, not there anymore. Here's the timing chain. Can't really see much down in there. Yeah, it's not really much to see down there at the moment. But I'll leave this hang up here just as a reminder where the chain went, right? So there's a timing chain. There are those two little bolts that I was talking about that you got to pull up in the front where those brass bushings are. Timing chain guide rail, which is in there. And some wear on it, but not too bad. That rail looks alright, again, somewhere, but you remember 100,000 miles on this engine. Looks pretty good. There's where the tensioner would go. And there's the box of parts. So, like I said, anybody interested in any of this stuff, you know, just let me know. I'm sure we can work out a deal. Not trying to be a salesman or anything, but I told the guy I would sell any parts for him if he needed some, you know, he needs some spare coins. So there's a cylinder head bolt. It is a Torx bit, so that'll be easy to get off. So judging by what I got taken apart so far, it looks like take those the Vanos solenoids out. And honestly, I think that's about it as far as getting the head ready to come off. Yeah. I think it's ready to come off. But that's it for today. I'm really warm and want to go inside in the AC and cool off for a little while. But if anybody has any questions or wants some close-ups of views of this thing, just let me know. I got it apart, so might as well. Sorry for the long, boring video, guys, but... Alright guys, something really quick on the Vanos units. I was wrong in my video earlier, saying that the reason you need the cam tool is to align these particular things up. It turns out that these can be put on the cam. Oops, take that off. These can be put on the cam anyway. I guess it doesn't matter from what I read, as long as the cams are locked at top dead center with that special tool. These can go on anyway. What that alignment plate in that toolkit is for is to line these up. There's a pin in the tool for these to line these up in a specific way. I'm not sure how they're lined up exactly, but that's what that tool holds. It holds these in, holds them in place while you tighten the bolt down. So I guess it really doesn't matter as far as how this goes on the cam, as long as it's locked in its top dead center position by that tool and the crank is locked with the pin. It's more important to get these plates on right. So just thought I'd post a little information quick. I wasn't quite correct with this needing to be on there straight, but it's so much this thing that needs to be aligned with that tool. That's all. Thanks for watching.